Hey guys, it's Gwent. Today I am bringing you Donatello Gadget Master. He is a Ninja Turtle. Obviously, if you don't know, Ninja Turtles are in Magic. Woo, welcome. But whenever he deals combat damage to player, you can create a token copy of target artifact you control. Right? You can create a token that's a copy of it. Anyway. So yeah, this is an artifact deck. Here, this very long list are a bunch of cards I would consider potential potentially better cards than what I currently have access to. As you can see, because they're grayed out, I don't own them. Key to the Archive is just a good arena card. You tap it, you add 2, and when it enters, you get a spell. Potentially, this could help you win the game. As you can see, you can literally get Approach of the Second Sun. But Day of Judgment, Time Warp, Counterspell, Demonic Tutor, GwentBliedd, Classic Lightning Bolt, Claim the Firstborn, Croson's Grip, Regrowth, these good cards, right? I think that's the only. I'm checking. I believe that's the only alchemy card that I really would consider putting. There's a few other alchemy cards, but you kind of have to like tailor your deck to where like one of them is you pay X and it seeks a card of that cost or that a non-land, or maybe it's specifically an artifact. Um, it seeks it, puts it into your hand, and then it puts it into play. But seek is random, I believe, and so you kind of have to like really tailor your deck to get those. It might be just like first in the list. I don't know. Um, but I feel like it's random. I typically put it in decks to fetch like Mox Amber or Mox Opal to thin the deck. But in this case, we kind of want other things. But anyway, yeah, so like we have Uthros, Titanic God Core. It's I forget what it's the guy's cradle in blue, but for artifacts. There's a whole cycle of these lands that you add one of the color for whatever you own for each blank you control. Gaia's Cradle is most famous because you tap it, you add 1 green for each creature you control. The blue one is you tap it, you add 1 blue for each artifact you control. White, I think it's like Sarah's. The white one is like Sarah's something. They're old. They're very, very old. They've been in the game for a very long time. This is like a nice, cool little callback on a card. I really actually like the planets designs. I think they're very interesting. And typically the lands that these are referencing are banned because they're good. Who knew? This one you have to like put 12 points into something. 12 charge points into this to get the effect, but like we'll get into that later. It's actually probably it's really easy considering that I don't know if you saw, we have Simulacrum Synthesizer, we have Urza. You're making big boys. Getting to 12 is not hard. You just use the constructs to create them. Anyway, Buried Ruin, Fomori Vault, Treasure Vault, these are just good artifact synergy lands that I just don't have access to. Buried Ruin obviously gets you back the thing. Fomori Vault lets you dig through your deck for it. Treasure Vault helps you create treasure tokens, but also counts as an artifact. So cards like Frogmite or Thoughtcast, or because it's kind of further over here, Thought Monitor or Kappa Cannoneer, they care about type of card, because even though you are playing it as a land, it is a land. You play it as a land. It counts as a land drop. It triggers artifact entering abilities. This is Lady Oct Moretta Neuron Hacker. I don't actually know how good she is, so I didn't like rush to make her. she appears on some lists for like artifact centric decks. She seems really good if you can keep her on the board, obviously, and kind of protect her, and you're in blue. So like you should kind of be able to with like counter spells and like phasing out shenanigans. But yeah, I didn't really put her in the deck. Drafna, just because you can copy an artifact spell that you're casting. So like if you're casting, say, Simulacrum Synthesizer, because it's not legendary, you create a copy of it if you use his ability. He also kind of helps you protect them by like bouncing them back to your hand. Look, I might be reaching on that one. Machine Over Matter is just like it's a bounce spell that like gives you a bonus if you have an artifact. Braided Net is just like a really good, like, you tap it, you remove a net counter from it. You tap a non-land permanent, yeah, any non-land permanent. So you can stop a like if they have like for some reason an enchantment that taps, you can tap that. It's very rare for enchantments to be tapped. That's probably never coming up. But like you can tap, say, their artifact or their creature before they attack. In fact, that's usually what it's used for in standard. And then you draw cards based on the number of artifacts you control. It's a nice card. It's a nice like artifact synergy card. You do have to craft it, but like you kind of it's not that crazy. World Walker Helm, you create additional artifact tokens of anything, in Donatello he makes them tokens. So World Walker Helm would create additional ones. I don't have it. And Mythic. It's a Mythic. So yeah. Foundry Inspector is just like a classic artifact card. Reduces the cost of all of your artifact spells, which includes anything that is an artifact. I was trying to see if I have like a artifact instant. I don't believe so. Or sorcery. I don't believe so. I think there's like a card or two. I don't know if we have them on Arena, but artifact creatures, just regular artifacts. So like Krang Mastermind would be discounted, and then Gilded Lotus, obviously. But it says spells, so in theory, if you somehow made, say, Remand an artifact, it would cost 1 blue because it would be reducing it. Which there is a way, I believe. There is a way. I don't know. I have to read the cards. Encroaching Microsynth, I think, is the way. Nope, it's non-land permanents. Never mind. Ignore me. Nettle Cyst kind of just makes everything it's just a construct weapon. Like it makes your thing into a construct, more or less, and it's a construct itself. And what is a construct, you may ask? It's a 0/0 token that gets bigger for each artifact you control, except Nettle Cyst also counts enchantments, but we're not really playing a ton of new enchantments, so in this deck it's kind of just a construct. We have like 1 or 2. We have Does Machine and Unstoppable Plan. Those are like the only enchantments we have, so for the most part it's just a construct. But it's also a 3 cost, and it's cool. Anyway, Sculpting Steel, just being able to duplicate up any artifact. So like if for some reason you're playing like a mirror match and your opponent plays an artifact you really need, you can have Sculpting Steel enter as a copy of it. I also have Mirror Maid in the deck for that also exact reason. Sculpting Steel is an artifact though, so things like Foundry Inspector would reduce its cost, whereas Mirror Maid is an enchantment. Oh yeah, that's another enchantment. I think it also stays an enchantment after it hits the battlefield. I believe so. Anyway, Semblance Anvil I don't have in this deck. I also don't have one. But I really find Sibilance Anvil is way better with like a Panharmonicon type effect on the board to where you can get double up on that exiled cost reduction, exiled card cost reduction. It's not a bad card. It is not a bad card by any means. But being able to double the imprint effect can be just absolutely insane. Being able to go from 2 to 4. I mean, like, if I just have a Semblance Anvil and I had a Panharmonicon effect activate for Semblance Anvil, and I have no other artifacts on the board, Frogmite is just free automatically. I don't even need 4 other artifacts for Frogmite to be free. And we'll get into that. Tezzeret, Cruel Captain. I think this is actually probably, like, one of the better Planeswalkers that, like, is, like, an Artifacts Matter card. Just because in this deck, we can actually go through artifacts very quickly. I really hope to show that off. So you can get his loyalty count up very, 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 very fast. And so you can get the emblems. In fact, I've played, I think, a few people who have been running Tezzeret as their commander in Brawl. They can get to 7 pretty quickly. Encroaching Mycosynth, just make everything an artifact. So I don't know if the same is true for permanent spells you control and non-permanent you control that aren't. So yeah, it makes your commander into an artifact, which your commander is 3. So in the case of Simulacrum Synthesizer, it would trigger it. It's cool. It's just a good card. Padim, giving all your artifacts hexproof. And then you're probably going to have the highest cost artifact, just because we do kind of run big artifacts. Oh yeah, Krang Mastermind is an artifact. I don't know why. It's really funny. I'm not going to argue with it, but it's very interesting. This Krang being an artifact makes sense because it's supposed to be like Krang and his. But this Krang, it's like, why is he an artifact? Anyway, we have like just big, stompy artifacts. Thought Monitor. Thought Monitor's not really stompy, but big, expensive artifacts, I should say. Kappa Cannoneer, Gilded Lotus. Most people don't typically run these bigger. Thought Monitor, Gilded Lotus. Gilded Lotus, you could like make a case for like in 5-color decks. I've typically seen Gilded Lotus in like 5-color decks, but Gilded Lotus is just good. Anyway, moving on. Aether Flux Reservoir. Yeah, so I had it. Well, let me. Okay. I have Paradox Engine on this list as well because Paradox Engine is not banned in Brawl. It's really not. I don't know why. But where is it? Where'd it go? Aether Flux Reservoir plus Paradox Engine, you can just get the pay 50 life pretty easily if you just like get it onto the board very quickly, which I have found with cards like War of Invention or Repurposing Bay, you can get target artifacts out pretty quickly, like if you need to. And Paradox Engine, each time you cast a spell, you untap all non-land permanents you control. And with something like Urza, where you can use the artifacts as a mana source because you tap an untapped artifact you control, you create a blue mana. You can just power through your deck if like you have the right combination of cards. And you draw into them. It's a combo-y type of finish. I don't have it in this deck. I should. I will 100% be like, I should have Aether Flux probably in this deck because there have just been games where like I've just played spell after spell after spell after spell after spell to where I probably could have gained like a whole bunch of life and not one off of the pay 50 to deal 50, like that bottom part of the card text, but like just to help stabilize and not die. Blue does, because we are in blue, we do have life gain issues, which is why I am running Limbus and Instant Ramen. And Candy Trail. Also, Candy Trail is just goated because it's Christ too. But yeah. Aether Flux Reservoir, if you want to like slam me in the comments for not running every perfect card, Aether Flux Reservoir is one that I will like bow out and be like, yeah, I should be running this card. I just don't own it on Arena. So yeah. Karn Great Creator, it's a stacks piece. Typically these types of decks, you kind of end up becoming like a stacks board, or stacks deck. It's possible if you want to take it more in that direction. Karn the Great Creator is just great. Because it just makes everything a construct. Or like you +1, it becomes a construct. His and like you're not going to use his -2 like ever. And you can't in Brawl because we don't have a sideboard. So he's the stacks piece that makes your artifacts into constructs. Smile. Panharmonicon, it's just good to have doubling effects. And we don't have access to like Elish Norn, Gandalf the White. Like arguably, like you could make this deck with Gandalf the White. Because he would give all of your artifacts flash. It's really kind of funny. But yeah. Unwinding Clock. Untap all artifacts you control during each other player's untap step. If you do not like not Unwinding Clock, Paradox Engine. Unwinding Clock is like Paradox Engine, but at home. It's a little bit fair. In my opinion. Unstoppable Plan also does the same thing because untaps all non-permanents you control. The BM of your instep. I think they literally say the same thing. No, Unwinding Clock only untaps artifacts. So Unstoppable Plan untaps your creatures, but if you make all your creatures artifacts, it doesn't matter. So if you want to like double up on that effect, you can, by all means, go for it. Cage Sun is just, we're in a monocolor deck. Also it just doubles the amount of mana you get. It's good. We're in a monocolor deck. Doubles the amount of mana we can generate from lands, specifically lands. So things like with Urza don't really work with it, but it also just buffs like Donatello or I don't know, like Fugitoid Troid. We'll get into what the cards in the deck and why they're there. But Cage Sun is just like a good artifact. Same for Chimley, the Inner Sun, just like being like, hey, you can't counter stuff. It's kind of the same reason as Karn. It's a stacks piece. And it kind of helps you get into stuff. Like most of your deck is 5 or less. So being able to discover 5 is okay because all it does is exile the top card of your library until you exile a non-lane card with mana value 5 or less. And if you can cast it without paying its mana cost. So like if it's a permanent, you typically want to go ahead and cast it. But if it's like something like, I don't know, Raven form and there's no targets, you're probably going to put that in your hand. But Chimley's just like it's a good card. It's a good card. Godfarer's Statue. It's also just like a good stacks piece. We are running Mirror Box because we are running enough legendary artifacts and things that are legendary that I felt like it was probably a good idea. Also it buffs up your constructs. Each non-token creature you control gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control with the same name as that creature. Whoops, never mind, it doesn't buff your constructs. Scratch that. But still, the legend, just removing the legend rule and you're creating duplicates of all your stuff. If you need to, you can make duplicates of, say, Mox Amber, Mox Opal, make it so Mox Opal's Metalcraft ability automatically activates. Wow, I am having trouble speaking. Make duplicates of Krang Utram Warlord if you need to, Krang Mastermind. But in this case, because we are running Mirror Box, if we were running Godfarer's Statue, we could just make it to where spells our opponents cast cost 2, 4, 6, 8, like just double it up, right? With Donatello. And just become absolutely oppressive. And then at the beginning of each end step, each one would cause them to lose 1 life. So if you had, say, 4 2, 4, 6, 8. So all their spells would cost 8 more. So something like Mox Opal would cost them 8 because it is a spell. I'm just explaining for the people who might not know. Just for those in the back who don't know. If you do know, cool. Thank you. Love you. But not everyone is gonna know. Anyway, and so you have 4. One goes off, one goes off, one goes off, one goes off. That's 4. Congrats. You know math. I just don't have Godfair statue. It's probably like one of the easiest ones to get. Because I also didn't realize it was an uncommon, but like it's just a really good artifact. Immortal Sun, shutting off their planeswalkers, reducing the cost of your spells, and drawing extra cards is just good. It's also kind of like a stacks piece if you want to take the stack more into that realm. We kind of have some stacks pieces. We have Vexing Bauble, but I think that's kind of it. I did try Karn Silex, I think it was, and I just kind of decided to toss it because while it was a stacks piece and it kind of did stop some strategies, I was like, it doesn't affect enough things because it just stops people from using their life to pay for stuff. Anyway, Wormcoil Engine. This is not a legendary. This is not a legendary artifact creature. So you can just make copies of it. And then you can make copies of the tokens. So if you need life, just create a ton of copies of Wormcoil Engine. I don't know what to tell you. Reality Heist. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal up to 2 artifact cards from among them, put them in your hand, put the rest in the bottom of your library in order. It's a good dig piece. It is a good, like, you just need 5 artifacts out, which you're running an artifact deck. Should not be hard. Look through your deck, or at least the top 7 cards. Grab 2 artifacts. Helps you, like, continue your, like, combo, potentially, or, like, your play for that turn to help you set up. It's pretty decent. It's pretty good. Mirror Battlesphere, I just don't own. Creating 4 1/1 colorless artifact mirrors is just good for, like, affinity strategies. And just for the constructs, because this counts as 1 and then creates 4, so that's 5. So, like, just slamming it down. Hey, guess what? You have 5. Cityscape Leveler is just, like, a very powerful card. Because you can destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. So, like, it's Meteor Golem, but it also activates whenever it attacks. And we can give it haste with Krang. Also, it's an 8. And we have Repurposing Bay. And Krang Utrom Warlord is a 9. In fact, that's actually why I'm running Krang Mastermind. Krang Mastermind is an 8. Repurposing Bay into Krang Utrom Warlord. All of a sudden, I have a 9/9 coming at you. Flying, haste, indestructible. It's and trample, and it's giving all of my other artifacts those same keywords, even if they are not creatures. Oh no, it is creatures. I'm sorry. I apologize. It gives all my other artifact creatures. So any constructs I have on the board get those keywords as well. Typically, I'm gonna be real. Typically, Krang Utrom Warlord just closes out games. It's very funny. Let's see. Continue on. Darksteel Colossus, Metalwork Colossus. These 2 are just big, powerful artifact creatures that, like, I see typically in artifact list decks. If you own them, run them. I don't see why not, especially Metalwork Colossus. Being able to sacrifice 2 artifacts. There are some artifacts that typically do want to be run just so they can be sacrificed. I tried to run them in this deck. A big example would be, I own it. Where is it? A big example would be like Ichor Wellspring. I'm not running with Ichor Wellspring because I don't have enough, in my opinion, I don't have enough sacrifice targets, and its only purpose would be to draw me a card and to sack it to Repurposing Bay to grab Simulacrum Synthesizer or something of 3 cost, and I was like, I need other things out of my deck. I'm sorry. Spectral restitching. This is on the ceiling from the Spider-Man set, I believe. Um, it's just a good potential way to like protect your board. Like maybe because it exiles target artifacts and or creatures. If you need ETB effects, you can also use it as that. But why is my phone going off? I personally would use it as like a way, because I would use it as a way to like protect rather than um use it as like a way to just trigger ETBs. If you want to go into the ETB, enter the battlefield trigger route, I think you should be playing Azorius and be playing Yorion type strategy instead. But anyway, now let's get into the actual deck. I've been recording already for 25 minutes. 25 minutes of just yapping about cards that I'm like, yeah, I should probably be running this. Okay. So the deck. So as you can see, there's a good number of artifacts here. A lot of just zero cost because hey, it's zero free. Mishra's Bauble is not a legendary actually. I thought it was. But being able to create duplicates off of Donatello is actually like pretty nice because it doubles up your card draw. And helps you kind of like get into your landfalls, get into your combo pieces, things you need. Ornithopter can help sneak in Donatello if you need to, and not lose a ton of tempo. Aether Spellbomb is just like a good card draw engine potentially with Donatello. Fugitive Droid. Okay. I don't think I've really ever used Fugitive Droid with his can't be blocked attack and like used him to trigger get Donatello onto the field. Typically Fugitive Droid acts as a artifact for our like Thought Cast or Thought Monitor affinity for artifact cards or artifact matters cards, like with Frogmite and things like that. And just the fact that like you don't have to tap him to activate his effect, so he just kind of sits there and acts as a deterrent for artifact removal spells, because he counters target artifact that or target spell that targets an artifact or creature you control. So if they try to like blow up your repurposing bay or your simulacrum synthesizer or even your Urza, because he counts creatures, the fugitive droid counts creatures, you can just use it as like that. That's mostly what he has been used for. Into the Flood Maw, just like get this out of here. Ponder, card draw, 3 steps ahead, being able to create a copy and counter spell and draw cards is just like really good. Wash Away, counter spell, Candy Trail, Vexing Bauble, artifacts, that Cryogen Relic. I really like this in Azorius, and I kind of really like it in this deck, but way less because I'm not triggering its inner and leaving a whole lot in this deck because we're not really doing a ton of blink effects. Cyclonic Roof is just a good card. Does Machines. I have a lot of issues with Does Machines. It is not a card advantage card. And it looks like you might read it and you might be like, yeah, it is. It's not. It does not like get you. It digs you deeper into the deck, and it gets things into the graveyard, which like you can use its level 2 or other cards to get things back. But oftentimes it just feels kind of bad to use in my opinion. Really the level 3 is really good though. I have closed out games because I have just been able to each turn like create a 3/3 little robot with the level 3. But I'm still kind of iffy on whether or not like I would keep it. If you have it and you want to play with it and you want to try it out and you like find it's fine, go for it. I think this type of card fits way better in other strategies or other colors. Moreover, especially like white or black strategies where you can reanimate the artifacts or the artifact creatures. More importantly, um, way easier. We are in blue, so we don't really have that. We do have things like Emery and I just made it Archaeo Mender to get things back, along with its level 2. Um, being able to get artifacts back from your graveyard to your hand. So like you milled it or you discarded it to its discard effect, you can get it back. But um, it's kind of just like in my opinion, it's kind of weak. There's a lot of really strong cards in this deck. It's one of the ones that I'm like, I don't really love playing you. It'll quench you, Jawari Disruption, mana leak, miscalculation, remand, counter spells. We're in blue. We don't really have great target destruction. Rapid hybridization, I just don't own. That's like a really good. That's like one of the few really good blue removal spells because it actually just destroys something. I think Pongify isn't in Arena. But yeah, you're in blue. Why are you not running counter spells? Run counter spells. Literally counter spell. Waterbender's Ascension, just a way to make something unblockable, and also if you get into it, draw cards. I did consider running Enduring Curiosity. I do have one. Like I said, I do have an Enduring Curiosity, but I just it's an enchantment. It's a creature. It turns itself into like just an enchantment with its when it dies effect. And like you can argue Waterbender Ascension is also just an enchantment, but Waterbender Ascension also helps me make a thing unblockable, which can be huge. We make big, stumpy artifacts. That can just be like, hey, this 15/15 artifact that like you generated a ton of blockers for, to where you can saw me out. All of a sudden, no, I hit you with it. Sorry. So it just helps us give our big artifacts evasion. Waterbending Scroll. I was not certain on this card. I'm gonna be honest. Each time I read this card, I'm like 6 to tap and draw a card. Except we're in mono blue. We have a ton of islands. Granted, some of the islands I have cut for other land and land abilities, such as Mr. Village, Agna Quela, Archway of Innovation. I'll admit that, but getting to 6 with Waterbending Scroll to just be tap draw card is not hard in the second the slightest. In fact, I might start putting into some of my other blue decks just because, or like some of my like not like triple color, probably like the furthest I would go is like double color blue, but still, anyway, it's just like it's a good card. Arcane Signet, just it's a good mana rock. Instant Ramen, Limbus, mostly because life and card draw. Donatello can create copies of them, and these are when they enter effect. So when the token enters, you get the effect, and then they just kind of sit there, and you can sacrifice them because they're food. That's literally it. Ornithopter Paradise Flying. It's a mana dork. It's Bop, but for an artifact. You can make copies of it with Donatello, but very rarely have I felt the need to. In fact, you usually have like another artifact on the board that you would rather make copies of. Archaeomancer, so that way we can get stuff back. Donatello Away with Machines. I think I've only played this card once. Like, I've had this in the deck multiple times, like, during testing. And each time I've been like, wow. You feel like you do nothing. And then, like, I play the card, and it just sits there, and they don't have a way to, like, remove it. It just becomes really big, and it's a big flyer. Emery of the Lock is just a really good artifact creature, affinity for artifact creature. Typically, between the two mono blue artifact commanders, Emery of the Lock and Urza are like the two best, I think, typically. Emery just having affinity for artifacts and then being able to get you back artifacts from the graveyard if you tap her is just really, really strong. So yeah. Fabricate to help us find like an artifact that we need. It doesn't put it onto the battlefield, but it puts it into our hand. So if it's like Thought Monitor, where we want to cast it, so that way it hits the enter effect. Because I think Word of Invention does trigger the when it enters effect. I'm sorry. But Fabricate can just help us grab like a Thought Monitor, a Kappa Cannoneer, something to help us close out the game if we're far enough ahead, or something to help us like set up. It's a tutor. Fringe Gadget here. Each time we cast an artifact spell, we investigate, and then it reduces the cost of the activated ability by 1, so it becomes 1 mana draw card with the clue tokens, which is pretty good. Also, just creates multiple clue tokens, which helps with affinity for artifacts and artifact matters things in the deck. Frantic Search helps us dig through the deck. Also untaps 3 lands, so that way we don't really lose a ton of tempo just digging through the deck. Raven Form, it's removal. That's seriously what it is. It's just removal. Like, it's not great. It's not great, but it is what it is. Repurposing Bay, it is a birthing pod, but for artifacts. Yeah. Sacrifice another artifact. Search your library for an artifact card with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrifice artifact mana's value. Put that card on the battlefield, then shuffle. Activate only as a sorcery. That is Birthing Pod. I believe although I don't think Birthing Pod had the activate only as a sorcery. Let me check. Nope. You can only activate this as a sorcery as well on Birthing Pod. Yeah, it's Birthing Pod. Repurposing Bay is just Birthing Pod, but for artifacts instead of creatures. Sai Master Thopterus. Each time we cast an artifact spell, we create a 1/1. It helps us create chump blockers, helps us create 1/1s to get Donatello back on the board or onto the board to begin with. And then his sacrifice to artifacts draw card, it can just be useful. Simulacrum Synthesizer. If you've played against this in Standard or ever, you know why this is here. Each time we play an artifact that is 3 or more in mana value, it just pops out a construct, or a construct as people call them sometimes. And these are just big, huge bodies. And Donatello, it's not a legendary, so Donatello can make multiples of them. I've had a few games where I've created like 2 or 3 Simulacrum Synthesizers, and then I slammed down like a Frogmite, and for each one I created a construct. And it just, and you can just keep going, just boom, 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 and it's just construct for each one, and it's great. Thirst for Knowledge, it's just an artifact draw spell. You can argue it's not the greatest because you have to discard an artifact, but it's in the deck. Unstoppable Plan, I think I went over wise here with the cards that I probably should be running with Unwinding Clock. Mirror Maid, same with Sculpting Steel. Sink into Stupor, it's a bounce spell, but also it's a land, so like it makes the cut. Bender's Waterskin. Bender's Waterskin is really insane in this deck, actually, because it taps for any color. It is not colorless, and it untaps itself. So if you make multiple copies, you can just not lose a ton of tempo in the late game if you are able to somehow make multiple copies of Bender's Waterskin. It's actually really nice. I was actually really shocked. It helps you keep up counterspells, some of our cheaper counterspells, such as Miscalculation, Mana Leak, Jawari Disruption, Wash Away. Helps you keep up, say, Cyclonic Rift. And typically the auto tapper will tap the Bender's Waterskins first because they untap. It knows that they untap. And so you can, if you're like, I really want to Cyclonic Rift, or I don't know if you saw it, Aetherize them, and you have like 1 or 2 Bender Waterskins, and you play like, say, a 1 or 2 drop, it will tap them first. and then you can just pass, let your opponent do their thing, and then do their interrupt. Do the interrupt plan. It's really, really nice. Mirror Box, just removing the legend rule is really useful whenever we're running very powerful legendary artifacts, such as the or not the Moxen, but Mox Amber, Mox Opal. I haven't made multiple copies of Krang, but that would be really funny. But yeah. Scrawling Crawler, it's just, I see this all the time in artifact decks, and I was like, you know what, sure, why not? And it hasn't disappointed. It does one, you can make, like, it does, each time they draw a card, they lose 1 life. It's kind of like a Shield Red-esque effect, but you don't gain the life whenever you draw a card. And you can make multiple copies of it, so it does stack. I haven't done that, but sure. Or of Invention, just a really good artifact card. Aetherize, just a really good, hey, don't kill me this turn card in blue. One with Machine. You can draw like a ton of cards. If you have like a Thought Monitor out, which you paid for 1, you draw 2, and then you still have 4 mana up. You can cast 1 with Machine. You draw 7. You have to discard the hand size, but you know. Urza's just like a really, 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 really good artifact card, or artifact matters creature. Yes, he is a 1/4. That does not matter when you consider the fact that he taps the artifacts you control for mana. So like the ones that just kind of sit there, do nothing, say like Limbus, Instant Ramen, Vexing Bauble, Candy Trail. The ones that just like kind of sit there and you're like, oh man, I need like 12 more mana. Why aren't these mana rocks? He makes them mana rocks. And then also his 5, shuffle your library, exile the top card of your top card. Till in turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost. You can do that multiple turns. I mean, multiple times in a turn. You can also do that during your opponent's turn. But I believe the timing on the card still matters. So, unless you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to get an instant, I don't recommend doing it during your opponent's turn. Frogmite, just a good affinity for artifacts. You can play it as a 0 cost. It triggers Simulacrum Synthesizer. It's a 2/2. Yeah. Hedron Archive. It's really kind of funny. So Hedron Archive, because it doesn't enter tapped, if you make a copy of it with Donatello, you can sacrifice the token, and Hedron Archive pays for itself. Pays for itself to sacrifice the token. It's kind of nutty. You do have to go down 4 mana to do that, though. It's not perfect, but it's really funny. It's really kind of nutty. Jahora's Familiar, historic spells, which are artifacts, legendaries, and sagas, costing 1 less. You can make multiple copies of it with Donatello. It's pretty good. Mystic Forge, just being able to play stuff from the top of your library is good in general, but being able to cast artifact spells and color spells from the top of your deck when you have a critical mass of artifacts in legendary spells is pretty good. And being able to go, hey, I don't want this card on top. Let me pay 1 life, exile it. You do have to exile it. That does suck. But typically it's like a land and you're so far ahead that you're like, I just need to continue the combo. Roaming Throne, declare turtle. Kappa Cannoneer is a turtle. Donatello, turtle. Declare turtle. Don't declare ninja. Declare turtle. Because Kappa Cannoneer, if Roaming Throne is out and you have a Kappa Cannoneer somehow, and you declare turtle, you get multiple turtles. You get multiple Kappa Cannoneer triggers. So Kappa Cannoneer becomes huge fast. Huge. Thoughtcast, 1 mana, draw 2. Typically. Hopefully. I mean, it's 5 mana, draw 2, but if any for artifacts, you just need 4 artifacts out, and all of a sudden it's just 1 mana, draw 2. It's a more fair treasure cruise, I would argue. I don't know. Okay, sorry for that weird cut. Just randomly lost internet in the middle of recording. But Kappa Cannoneer, I was literally in the middle of singing the praises of Kappa Cannoneer when it cut off. It's just a really good game ender for artifact strategies, especially in blue, because each time you play an artifact creature, or not an artifact creature, I'm sorry. any artifact, all of a sudden it can't be blocked. And so, and it gets huge fast. And it's any artifact enters. So, yeah. Yeah. Thought Monitor, I think I've talked about this. Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time, I just have because they're kind of pet cards at this point. Like Treasure Cruise, 1 mana, draw 3. Uh, get rid of like your fetch lands and things like that. Things that got destroyed that you're not going to be able to get back. It's just a useful tool. Dig Through Time, same reason. You look at the top 7. It's kind of like Reality Heist in that way, but you have to delve instead of having affinity for artifacts. I would probably replace Reality Heist for this card if I had the option to. Krang Mastermind. Krang Mastermind is in this deck simply because we can Repurposing Bay. We can have Repurposing Bay out, and if we have enough artifacts out, Krang Mastermind is a 2 mana 1/4 that draws us cards, right? And we can if we have enough mana, we can Repurposing Bay from Krang Mastermind into Krang Utrom Warlord, because Krang is an 8, Utrom Warlord is a 9. And Utrom Warlord coming in has haste, so he can immediately swing in, and that is just a way to close out the game. So yeah. For lands, I've got Agnaquela just for draw, because sometimes we get stuck on cards that we don't really need at the moment. We need to find other pieces. Archway of Innovation, giving some cards improvise could be good, but it taps for blue, and it comes in untapped, and if we control an island, we're in mono blue, so it's going to come in untapped. Gate to the Sea Tower helps us get a card. Seek, it comes in tapped. It's not the best. This is also an alchemy card, so you can argue not running it. Mistrise, giving our stuff uncounterable is good. It's good. Mystic Sanctuary, giving getting back like a counterspell or a Treasure Cruise or a Fabricate. It's just good. Otawara, bounce on a spell. Artifact Land. See the Synod. Count Swords are affinity for artifacts. Access Tunnel gives Donatello unblockable, which is really good. It's really useful. Cavernous Souls gives Donatello and Kappa Cannoneer, because we're going to declare Turtle uncounterable. Command Tower, staple. Darksteel Citadel, same reason as Seek the Synod. Fable Passage, Evolving Wilds, Flooded Strand, Maestro Theater. All these are just ways to thin out the deck. And Turtle Lair is just another way for Donatello or Roaming Throne or even Kappa Cannoneer to become unblockable, because when we declare Turtle on Roaming Throne, Roaming Throne turns into a turtle. When we declare Turtle on Roaming Throne, it becomes Turtle. And Turtle Lair says target ninja or turtle can't be blocked this turn. It doesn't say mutant, which is kind of weird. But yeah. But anyway, let's get into the games. Johora, Ageless Innovator. I believe this is the one. Yeah, this is the one where you tap her, you put 2 Ingenuity counters on her, and then for each Ingenuity counter, you can put an artifact card. She's a really good Izzet artifact card. I'm gonna mulligan. We do have Repurposing Bay, but we don't have like any interaction. We kind of hit like combo pieces more or less. Okay, there's a wash away. We can counter Johora. There's for knowledge, dig. Okay, this works. This works. And Vexing Bauble, because I believe because put no, they're not casting it, so it doesn't work. Declare Turtle. Tap for a colorless. Play Vexing Bauble. Let's do this. quick study, draw 2 cards. It's a pretty good card. Oh, they have to discard Hand's Eyes? Yeah. Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger? What the heck? Is it just because you get enough mana? That's crazy. I'm gonna grab an island. I'm just gonna go ahead and play Donatello. We don't have any interaction, but it's just better to have our commander out so we can do things. Here's Jahora. Unfortunately, we draw the Krang. We're gonna thin out an island. It's very unlikely that they actually block the Donatello here. Wow. No? Okay. Hey, you do you. We're gonna make a copy of Arcane Signet. So now Thoughtcast is 2 mana, draw 2. Gilded Lotus and Into the Flood Ball. We're gonna play Thirst for Knowledge. I'm gonna discard Krang. We're kind of like 2 artifact decks. Great. Bribery is a really good card. They got my Urza. Thank you for my Urza. You can tap for a mana. Some people, I swear. Let's play. I guess so Donatello can't be blocked. So now they have to use Cyclonic Rift, targeting what? Donatello? No. Make a copy of Arcane Signet, enters untapped. We can fabricate, but I'm feeling fine. They play a Solar Transformer. Their card construct is getting quite big. Might Stone and Weak Stone. Okay. Targeting what? I assumed you were destroying Donatello. Okay. Fugitive Droid. Let's do this. Get an island. I do this. They don't have any mana except for colorless, I guess. It updates, right? Yeah, it updates. Weave of Fate, draw 2. Their Jahora is up to... Okay. Mana Geode. What does this do? You have a card. Okay. First we do this. I want to permanently tap, or not permanent tap, but just stun counter Johora. I'm gonna grab Vault Monitor. Yeah, seems like a good card. Why do you think I played Fugitoid first? Make a copy of Thought Monitor, draw more. We like drawing cards. Hullbreaker Horror. Resolve. That is probably not the card you want to. Okay. I mean, if they're... Okay, so they just replay Hullbreaker Horror. Donatello, unfortunately, does not... This Donatello doesn't have Sneak. I'm just gonna get this out of my hand. I forgot we do have this Urza. Ooh. Artifact or enchantment on the battlefield. Might Stone, Weak Stone, what does that do? Gets rid of the Johora? Makes them reset Johora? Oops. That's actually my bad. Misplay. Genuine misplay. Unfortunately, if I attack with Krang, they can just trade with me. I'm gonna sacrifice this first. Okay. Just increase Johora. Draw land. Womp little bud. Good game. Firelord Suko. So I think it's anytime they play a card from exile. Yeah, whenever you cast a spell from exile. So it doesn't affect us. I'm okay with this. They're going to be trying to play a bunch of spells probably with no mana value, right? No, they still have to spend mana. Okay. So Vexing Bauble doesn't exactly solve the problem. So we're probably just going to play Fugitive Droid. It's the Fugitive. Interesting. I want to leave up Counterspell. And that's exactly why. They typically want to get Zuko down as soon as possible. Okay, take your time. We are taking quite a bit of damage. But such is the way of life. We are kind of left very vulnerable if they have like a bolt. Zuko Firebending Massacre Shrek. Firebending for X is the number of experience counters you have. Whenever you cast a spell during combat, you can experience counter. Oh, it's the Katara. That's... I'm doing all this just to get items. Aren't I smart? Let's play Does Machine. It's going to be the... Ooh. So discard 2. This is instant speed. They can exhaust my here. So you gain no. Right? Yeah. They've got something. They typically want to play stuff during combat. And like, surprise! So I'm mostly just doing this to... Okay. That's enough slices, bud. The reason we left Donatello was exactly for that. For this that you're seeing. Take action. Let's see. We got Mox Amber, Mishra's Bauble, Counterspell, Candy Trail. Candy Trail would be nice. Could be nice. Let's grab these two. Okay, so now let's just... We play Mishra's Bauble first. Then we play Vexing Bauble. And then we play Candy Trail. Let's put Waterbending Scroll on top. Because we have enough islands to where we can activate this almost for free. Pop. Boop. Pyro Dragon of the West. Haste and Mentor. This is just a very Avatar deck. So this says first strike. They have 4 mana up, so I'm not going to trade Sai. My turn. What's in the bin? Oh, we have a Fugitoid and a Mirror Box and then a Valkyrie. We can play both of these. But not this turn. Wait, what am I doing? Oh, I can't sneak into Dauntel because of commander tax. I'm not okay. Let's give me Fugitoid and Ornithopter. Lighter Staff, giving their stuff. We're gonna have to one target creature. The Fugitoid? Should airbend a token, yeah. Quick creature gets +1/+1 and has fly. Yeah. Equip 2, okay. They have no mana, but they have 5 firebends. That's a little spooky. I have to block like this. They probably have a combat trick. Yeah, I figured. Okay. Okay. I'm down to 5. I don't know if we can. I mean, we need Urza. It's hard to argue that we don't. Unless they have trample, I think we're okay. I'm just gonna mute them preemptively. They do have 6 mana now. There's no way. Oh my gosh. We survived. We survived. Draw card. Mist Rise. This center's tapped. Nothing I can do about that. Okay. I'm gonna make a copy of this. Okay, we have. This is in. Oh, this is instant. I don't think we're dead. They don't. They definitely don't have. Lightning use combat energy at the top of every library. You may play that card for as long as you have lightning. Is this just a fan deck? Beginning of your combat on your turn, each creature you control with a counter on it gains 5. Okay. They're only attacking with my. Yeah, I can't let that through. You have 5 mana during the combat phase? Or do you no longer lose your fire? Yeah, you do. Okay. Zuko Seeking Honor, Firebending. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, gain 4 seconds. Whenever. Yeah, okay. This is just a Zuko deck, I think. Which isn't bad. That's not like a bad thing. Let's draw another card. Limbus. Okay, I can work with this. Repurposing Bay. Let's get Repurposing Bay. Let's play this. The thing is, I still don't have like a clean attack. Repurposing Bay is not a legendary. What do I want to make a copy of? Limbus? Limbus or Candy Trail? I mean, either way, I can heal 3 off of it. Limbus draws us a card. And I can heal 3 off of it. Raven. I don't. Could be good. Could be useful. We're still kind of like at their mercy. Doesn't this time? Oh, it is. They're just full swinging. What'd they draw? What did you draw? He didn't attack with lightning or iron. So they probably slammed a good game, didn't they? Oh, never down, never out. I'm gonna make a copy of this, just because I do want the ability to draw a card. Turtle layer, that does not help me. I have the mana, so I can do this. 3. Decline. We're gonna toss this and this. We hit Cyclonic Rift. This gets us a blocker in the air. Yes, I'm aware that I'm aware of Vexing Bobble. That wasn't a misplay. I just wanted the blocker in the air. I probably should have foretold this for a future turn. Oh wait, this is a sorcery. Okay, we got a Cyclonic Rift them if they try to go for it. Okay, so end of combat, you have 2 mana floating. In response, I'm going to sacrifice a Candy Trail. Okay, we hit Simulacrum. My turn? Yeah. Ah, good game. Sin Spear's Punishment. Okay. Actually, I see some sauce. I see some sauce. I see some sauce. We need to hit 3 though. We hit 3. So first we play Forensic Gadgeteer, and then the next turn we play Cryogenic. Just give me an island. So that way we can get our Thought Monitor somewhat cheap. That's a cool card. I don't like that card. I could have snuck in Donatello, but I don't want to leave up interaction just in case. Something's wrong, I can feel it. World Wave is such a fun, busted card. I'm so glad they made this. Because it seeks any land card. I can't interact with it. Let me cook. Spirited Simulacrum. Hey, look, they get a land card. Oh, hey, look, they get a land card. I have many feelings about World Wave. Thank God this card is not legal in non-commander formats. We're gonna play Roaming Throne first. That creates 2. Declaring Turtle. We're cooking now. Oh yeah, we're cooking. This is where they what's the word? Cyclonic Rift. Me and I cry. Not really, actually, because Cyclonic Rift only hits. Oh, no, it hits all non-land permanents, I think. So I would have to replay all of this. And I don't have a counterspell in hand. They are thinking. Coma. Hello, Timmy. That's not a Timmy card. Yeah, it is. Okay, so we have that on top of the deck. So this doesn't have reach, right? Oh, hey, look, that doesn't have reach. They want to play Timmy, we can play Timmy too. Any questions? Apparently they don't have questions. Oh god, here it comes! Word 3. Oh no. Oh. The Timmy player didn't like that. I played a Cavern of Souls. The player that played Yalta into Famished World Sire, that was a 27-27 with Ward 3, didn't like that I played the Cavern of Souls and I had the bigger things. Oh no. No remorse. I'm sorry. No remorse. Nip Mizzet Supreme. What does this one do? There's like 5 Niv Mizzets. Hexproof from Monocolor. Fuck. Each. Fuck. No reason not to play this. I'd rather have. I think I'd rather have the Mox Opal. Next turn. Okay. Man, Badlands Revival. I'm not gonna counterspell that. Could have, I guess. But then I wouldn't have a land. Or a Ill Quench yet. As backup. Oh, that. Okay. Because they're just going to get a ton of value. Each instant and sorcery. Elysian Cryptid, Caryatid. That's a Cryptid. Yeah, let's just go ahead and play Urza. And a Mishra's Ball. Destroy target artifact creature, and you go for the mirror box? I'm sorry. There's an Urza on the board, and you're going for the mirror box. Do you have something for the Urza? You don't have something for the Urza. It's not. Ba-da-ba-da-ba. Ba-da-ba. Ba-da-ba. Oh, they had Seagate Restoration in their hand. Mortify going for the token? This is a very interesting set of choices. Virtue of Persistence on the Donatello. So let me get this straight. Last turn, you could have mortified my Urza. They have a Multi-Rotha on top. Okay, here we go. Here's a Psy. So we declare Turtle. Urza can get countered, but an Artificer might have been the better call, but 3. Let's. Declaring it a turtle. For all you know, I'm tapped out. I mean, except for this Mox Opal that's right here. And they can play a Bender's Water Skin. That's fine. It's fine. Take them. Not exactly what I want to see. Come here in the grave. 4. Make it 5. I have to remember that the breasts are going to the bottom. I think Mox Amber. Because I have Psy. We draw a Remand that we can use. Guess this for me again. Boy, I love it when they're tapped out. Okay. Bender's Water Skin first. Unstoppable Plan. Hellish Norn. In response. This is a very Timmy deck. You got, it's the last card in your hand, literally a counter spell. Because these three aren't. You're going to the devil. That. What is this music? It's not music I really want. Mana leak on top. Get damage in when I can. Untap all my stuff. I cry every time, I guess. Apparently they'd rather have Elishnorn than Muldrotha, which is very telling. Take 7 here. I need a hero. Mirror form. And there's a copy. There's nothing like super insane. You're countering that. Okay. Go for it. This is a legendary artifact. I can make a copy of Roaming Throne, but what good is that? Why don't you use Binder's Water Skin? Fabricate. So 1, 2, 3. I don't have enough mana for anything super crazy. Sadly. Where's my... And it's just immediately dies. You want to destroy that. Alright. So first let's do this. Like this. That resolves, that's fine. Gain a ton of life. I don't care. Edron Archive. Oh, yeah. Baby. Oh yeah. We're just gonna go. We're just going. It's just gonna go. We're just gonna go. It's just gonna go. Oh yeah. Let's go. I know my opponent's gaining a ton of life. And I am trying to maximize the things I can do. Or the actions I can take. No. Alright, next. They are not tapped out. I just need to discard 2? Okay. I have a ton of mana. What do I make a copy of? You can play it next turn. I have a 31-32 blocker. With mana to... No, let's just rub it in. You hear that? It's the tears. What you got for 1 mana blood? I think you're dead, buddy. Okay, so closing thoughts. The deck is carried hard by Urza. This deck is not good because it's Donatello. It is good because it's Urza. Urza gives you the ability to use your artifacts for mana, and then with Unstoppable Plan, you have like a ton of mana each turn, and you can just get into dumb shenanigans. And with Unwinding Clock or Paradox Engine, it just continues on into like just more and more stupid infinite games. Really and truly, this is like very close to a deck very similar to CGB, I think, made or like that CGB made. He probably wouldn't run like these Krangs and like maybe not Kappa Cannoneer, but like just a ton, like he just ran a ton of cheap artifacts and had Emery as the commander, not Urza, but Emery, but had like Paradox Engine and Aetherflux Reservoir and just nukes everywhere. And it was like more of a self-mill strategy. If you notice in the games that we played, we did have kind of... I should probably stop music. Okay. Let's just restart that. Closing thoughts. This is an Urza deck. This is not a Donatello deck. Donatello might be in the command zone, but we kind of lived and died by Urza. This is very similar to like an Emery deck where like you kind of run just like Paradox Engine, Aetherflux Reservoir, and you just slam down a ton, and I mean a ton, of artifacts, getting artifact triggers, artifact procs, and because you have Urza and Unstoppable Plan, at least Unstoppable Plan in this deck, if you had Paradox Engine, it would just be so much more insane. But because you have Urza, you're just able to just make mana each turn to like do your things. If we had Paradox Engine, each time we casted a spell, like that last game, because I'm ending it like I'm ending it directly after that last game. Each time we casted a thing, we would have had more mana to work with, instead of running out of mana, which is why Paradox Engine is banned in Commander, but it's not banned in Brawl. Because games have to end, I guess. I don't know. I actually have no answer for you. Yeah, it's good. Vexing Bauble kind of like causes some hiccups here and there. Really and truly though, you don't really care. Like if you have Vexing Bauble and you really need, like say, a Frogmite to hit the board, you're kind of you kind of just need the like fact that you just casted a 4-cost artifact spell, then you do the 2/2 body, and that's really the only reason why Frogmite's in this deck is because he's a 4-cost artifact spell that reduces his own cost. This card says it's a mythic in Arena, and they want a mythic for it. This card is a common. This card is a common in paper. Because it is a common level powered card. I do not know why it is a mythic level card in Arena. Wizards of the Coast, why? But yeah, that last game you saw, if we can get to a point where like, if we get like just the right board state plus the right card, we can come back from almost any situation, and doubly so if we had Paradox Engine and Aetherflux Reservoir, because the way Aetherflux Reservoir works, if you don't know, which I don't blame you for not knowing. Why is my caps lock on? Each time you cast a spell, why did it do that? Each time you cast a spell this turn, you gain 1 life for each spell you've casted this turn. So it's life gain storm almost. So you can gain just absurd amounts of life. If I don't know how many spells I casted like in the final turn of that game, or like the turn that like I just kind of went off and set up the board and then just like was like, all right, you can't kill me, cool, Cyclonic Rift. But I would have gained a ton of life to where like I didn't even really need the Donatello, the flying Donatello. Like there are a ton of cards in this deck that like I'm only keeping in here because new set, yay, hooray. But in terms of like efficiency, are they good? No. No. Dust Machines, maybe, because it mills, so like it allows you to access your graveyard as like a second hand almost, which is like very valuable when you have Emery and cards like Archaeomancer. And I think there's a card from Edge of Eternities that lets you get back an artifact from your graveyard. But like, Does Machines is like, it gets you back 2 and draws you 2 cards, but you have to discard 2. So it doesn't really get you card advantage. Don't just, what was that noise? Let's see what else. Lands, I probably wouldn't run all these lands if I'm being like all these cycle lands or fetch lands. Sorry, not cycle lands, fetch lands. The only reason why I am is because thinning the deck is good. Thinning the deck is good. I like thinning, like, you want less cards in your deck so that way you find your pieces that get you to your win condition. That is, and the less, so like you draw a Fabled Passage, cool, that is an island out of your deck, right? Late game, you draw a Misty Rainforest, you pop it, you grab, I don't know, a Gate to the Sea Tower, a Mistrise Village, Mystic Sanctuary. There's not a ton of island or just mono blue island cards in the game, which is something to keep in mind. They're island, the basic land island Gate to Sea Tower is an island gate. Mystic Sanctuary is an island, but Archway Innovation, Castle of Antris are not islands. And so you can't fetch them. And there's a ton of other multicolor lands outside of our colors that would work, but this is we're working with what we got, you know. But yeah, Waterbending Scroll, I will actually say, really impressive card actually. Especially if you like Paradox Engine, it becomes just free, like tap draw to like fetch a thing. And then with Unstoppable Plan, it's draw a card each turn. Whenever you finally hit, like, for free, whenever you finally hit like 6 mana, 6 islands, I should say, which shouldn't be too hard. Shouldn't be. But you know, um, but yeah, I didn't really get to show off Kappa Cannoneer. I don't think we really had any games where like Kappa closed out the game. I still think he's a really good card. Mostly because improvise is a very powerful tool whenever you like draw him, you don't have enough mana, but you have like a ton of artifacts you can tap for. Because improvise, you can tap an artifact for like a colorless, and typically you have like a mana rock too that you can tap for like a colored mana. But yeah, uh, this is not a Don. Like again, this is not a Donatello deck. This is an Urza deck. Urza's just in the deck. He's in the 99, so we got to find Urza to win the game. Otherwise, I would put Urza in the command zone, and I would swap out a ton of cards for way better artifact cards that Urza would want to see. But anyway, I digress. If you watched all the games, you got to this point. Thanks. Love you. Hugs. Thank you for watching. We've been growing. We've been getting some views on stuff. I was going to pull it up and look because I was actually impressed. Yeah. Dark Mikey and Leo crossed 30 views, which I didn't think anyone would watch any of my stuff. Like the Tasha videos and videos before I had uploaded were getting like 2, maybe one view. But yeah, and you know, it really keeps me going. So if you really like this, if you really want to see me keep going, keep doing this, I should say. Leave a like, subscribe, do the things, do the YouTube things, please. It helps me out. Really, more so just boost my confidence on this. Thank you. Bye-bye.